You don't know that your favorite food is a baked potato until you actually eat it. You know, and people eliminate oysters and caviar and foie gras and all these, you know, uni and all these, you know, foods that I love that, you know, people don't, they just, like the amount of people that have told me at dinner, because I order oysters a lot, I'm like, would you like some? And they're like, no, I don't like oysters. And I'm like, have you ever had one? I would say 3 out of 4 have never had it.
I was just gonna say I didn't like oysters, but I never really tried them.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good oysters from Canada, by the way. You know, it's really real. It's the thought of, I understand, like, you know, I've had some like pretty weird conversations of why people don't like oysters. They're like the consistency, the look, it all makes sense, but it all goes down to the same thing, which is like, are you fearful to try something or are you fearless? You know? I just really admire lack of fear. I was watching some kids play basketball yesterday. And there's one kid, 2 teams were a big mismatch, but this one kid like just wasn't scared, and I admire that. I really, it's funny that it caught my attention while I was watching something, like it's just awesome. I'm pumped that you're at such a young age that you're starting to like really chip away at it.
Yeah, you know, I can look back and say like, oh, you know, because I wanted to do this for like, you know, 28 now, like last 6 years really, you know, but I was nursing, I used to be a nurse and stuff like that, and then working at other projects and stuff for other people. But I said, you know, I could look back and say like, you know, I've wasted time, or say, you know, for all this time ahead of me, right?
That's so such a little piece of time. I mean, you know, when you're 28, 6 years is a ton. It's fucking 20, you know, it's a ton. It's over 20%. So it feels like a ton. Just like I tell a lot of people, like, so obviously you know this because you know my content. I talk so much about patience and everyone loves to make fun of me. Like my favorite comments by far on social media is like, Garyvee rolls up on a 90-year-old and says, how old are you? They say 90 and he says, you got, and I laugh, but like, you know, it's funny, I get it. When you're 12, a year seems like an eternity. You're like, next year, right? When you're 47, years are flying. I talk, you know, and it's just how the human brain works. So of course, when you're 28, 6 years, like, whoa, it's 20% of your fucking time. Like, you know, like you felt it, but it's nothing. It's nothing. And like, it's great, especially when, you know, a lot of people don't get to this place until 40, 50, 60. It's why I'm so passionate about making the content I make. If I can get 13 to 33-year-olds to understand they haven't started, and regardless of anything that's happened, there's actually a fresh restart, and you can fully, like, you could be miserable and have like, and die at 92 with like a profoundly happy life, because 60 years more in front of you is just 60 years more in front of you. I just really wish people believed it. You know, I am the most extroverted, most network, like most rely on other humans for my energy, and like, I'm like out of practice a little bit. Like I'm like, I don't want to be out from 8 to midnight doing like things, like I'm like it's you have to like almost restart in some ways, but no, it's good. Friendships, you know, like intimate relationships, dating, business network, like all humans get so much value out of other humans. I think a lot about forced perspective. Like this is why I'm actually really trying to get like it shouldn't take a traumatic experience to have, you know, we do so many things for our bodies. Thank God, like, look, 40 years ago, nobody was going to the gym. Like, actually, nobody. So, you know, like when I think about that, this is what I look like at 47 years old, like what I would have looked like if I was born 50 years earlier, like left to my laurels, I'd be 215, like I'd be a mess.
Well, I think you started, you know, I'm trying to think back all the content, but you started taking your health more seriously in your 30s, right?
Yeah, late 30s, 38 and a half. I always laugh because it was on a plane where I was like, just thinking, and I was like, you know, things are going well, like life's gonna be good, like this is the vulnerability. Like, I could die from a heart attack at 63. You know, I was like, I know that I'm not doing the right things. And here I am running around the world telling people like, you're doing this wrong in business. And I'm like, well, you want like, you know, you want your business to be $1 million after 19 days? That's why you're failing. Same with me. Like, I was too logical to know that 19 days in the gym would fix it. I just didn't want to put in the work. It doesn't come down, you know, I would tell you my own journey on health and wellness is why I have confidence in people's journey in business. Nobody, I'm now 9 years into this journey, and there's not a single morning I wake up and want to do it. Not one. You know, like, it's funny, I've been playing some basketball lately. I played again this morning. I played yesterday and today. Yesterday was a Sunday, and I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to play basketball. And it's interesting because that I love, but like I logically know at 47, it's hard to play basketball. Like it's, after 40, it's a very dangerous sport.
Game changes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about the game, it's about like ACLs, like MCL, like you're so prone in basketball. But I love it. I'll wake up at 5:30 for it. Whereas like go and do like a chest day or cardio, like I like those, I've gotten to like it, but like it still comes so not natural. So, you know, yeah, I think a lot about that. And I think about business, I think about health and wellness. But lately I've been thinking more about perspective practice. Like we do a lot of practice to like be healthy, eat well, go to the gym. We do a lot of business coaches this. I wonder if, like I always think about like, what are none of us doing right now that's gonna be a thing in 50 years? I think perspective practice. Like this is what, maybe because you're close to my content, like why I tell people like, go and visit a retirement home. Like charity work, like right now, today it's easier for me, back to like what you said about time, it's easier today for me to write a check than to go spend a day, right? Like a kitchen that serves people in need, like so this year, I've already done more things this year in my personal life, visiting friends that have personal situations that require me visiting them, to check on them, to check in. Already more in the first 23 days of this year than I did all of last year. Because I decided, I used to say, well, I don't have time to work out. Bullshit. And so now I'm like, you know, I've got to make time to do this. And so it's almost like perspective training. I'm doing it to be gracious, to provide value for somebody I care about. But there's a subconscious part of me that knows that there's also major deposits being put into me. You do leave with tons of gratitude. And then, you know, I'm hoping to scale that to strangers. Because luckily I'm not in a situation where I have a lot of those in my life. But, you know, I think I really have been thinking a lot about that. Like, what if once a month, 12 times a year, you go out of your way to be of service with your time to somebody or some group of people in need, that also gives you a real look at, you know, a life that, you know, you're complaining about XYZ and like there's people who are terminally ill. I've gotten to a point in my career where, you know, a lot of people are DMing me with like make-a-wish like scenarios. Literally this week in my DM, I'm so glad I made the video. I'm so glad I saw it. I'm so glad I made the video. And the guy who was sick's friend reached out to me and said I was an inspiration for this guy, and the gentleman passed. And just like fucking like 35 years old. You know, and it's just like, I just struggle worrying about money or reputation, though I care way more about my reputation than money, or like anything, when you just know this is happening every day, and things are happening every day.
So what's the biggest financial mistake you see them make early on in their careers?
Buying dumb crap to be cool, you know, like a car they shouldn't buy, jewelry they shouldn't buy, just cliche stuff. Now, look, I think everyone needs a level of outlet and enjoyment, especially plenty of athletes grow up with very little, and they want that first shiny thing, and I have empathy for that, but I think for some kids, they get too crazy on that. And then the reverse, this might surprise you, but I think too many kids make investments in companies, because macro, it sounds right, but a lot of times 95% of those companies are going to zero. And, you know, outside of a first, let's use the NFL, outside of a first round pick, you start getting the second, third, fourth round picks, the money is not like insane. I don't think the common person, you know, obviously by the average income level, it's insane. But when you start realizing what a third or fourth round pick in the NFL draft makes, how much they have to pay in taxes and fees, and very quickly, it's not like they're rolling in millions. And the NFL is a tough sport. The average stay in the league is quite short. And so, when you don't have anything and then you get that first check and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, the idea of putting $25,000 into your buddy's startup doesn't seem scary, but the reality is it's very high risk and you really have to get to that second contract. So it's the combination of the extremes. One is obvious to anybody watching: the jewelry, the cars, you didn't need a $10,000 vacation. But the other one that I think the players are getting smarter. And I think a lot of them have to get more thoughtful about the investment in the business that 99% of those businesses are going to zero on.
So what is the smartest thing you think they could do? Like, you get that first paycheck, what is the smartest thing an athlete?
I think the smartest thing an athlete, and very honestly, all of us that are behind the cameras right now, and you and I, is live within your rules. So if you're gonna make $400,000 this year playing football, or $4 million, live within those means, which means have some savings out of that. So if it's $400,000 take home after taxes, don't live a $400,000 life. Live a $250,000 life, so you have $150,000 in savings. So I think living within your means is always the game.
So speaking of living in your means, one of your life goals is to buy the jets.
That is true.
So say you had the opportunity to buy the jets today.
Yes.
What is happening day one?
Day one, I'm meeting with all the personnel, right? I have the great luxury to know Joe D and Coach Sala, so I wouldn't really need to reset there. But it would be meeting, everyone from the people that are in the medical staff, for the people that do the groundskeeping in Florham Park. Like, day one is clear my schedule. I've achieved this remarkable thing. I'm in the best mood ever. And for the next 3 weeks, I want to spend 15 minutes to an hour with every single person that is employed by this organization and listen, create context, start building relationships, and then empowering, from the standpoint of the viewers, from a sports standpoint, I'm going to empower Joe and Coach Sala to do what they do because I already have enough confidence in who they are. When I achieve this goal in the future, if those two gentlemen are not in place, because it could be 30 years from now, that would be the first thing. Analyzing your GM and coach, I think, is imperative. That's all I do.
I want everyone to hear this very slow because this will help with NFTs, this will help with streetwear, this will help with everything. You saw and I saw, wait a minute, I bought a pack for 35 cents, because remember, this is OG land, right? And oh my God, it all adds up to like 59 cents. What you didn't know and I didn't know then was nobody really wanted the 10-cent cards. So there was no demand against that perceived value. Number two, what you also knew was Mike Greenwell was hot his rookie year and it went up to $2. But the next year he slumped, and the year after that he wasn't that good. And Greenwell was a little bit better than that, but I'm just play with me here. His rookie year, it was worth $2, but 12 months later, wait a minute, I thought cards were supposed to go up. Why is this 80 cents now? Oh, wait a minute, that's demand. People don't think he's gonna be as good as Wade Boggs or Ted Williams. And so the things we learned in that era, of course we were gonna be unstoppable later. Of course you were destined to understand supply and demand and collectability. Of course I was gonna be able to explode my dad's wine business because people collected wine. By the time I was 18, I was a fucking master. I was spending 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, focused only on understanding why cards went up and why they didn't. Why Ken Griffey did, why they didn't. Why Frank Thomas did, and they didn't. Wait a minute, why are Michael Jordan cards going up? Wait a minute, he's more popular than the game. He's in that Spike Lee commercial. He's on the Wheaties box. Oh, that's why. People just like him. That's called demand. Like, you start learning.
Killed it. Amazing. So what's crazy is to think that both of you guys, your careers have essentially been inspired and are very linked to this early collecting and trading baseball cards. I think it's incredible because what your careers have become. I think a piece of content we have to shoot 100% would be Gary picking vintage clothes with Sean.
100%, I'm in, bro. Listen, the vintage clothes thing, you guys don't even know. I wish AJ was on here right now. In 1998, when we were all about that eBay life, we were buying fucking like Iron Maiden t-shirts for 25 cents and selling them for $40. This is where I always laugh when people think I just pop onto something. I made a mocktails video the other day. And somebody wrote a comment of like, well, this trend's over, now Garyvee's here. I'm like, my man, I've been here for 6 years. Just because I'm not talking about it doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. I bought ETH in 15. Like for me, like the vintage clothes thing, like I've been going to, thrift stores and garage sales buying, t-shirts for 20 years. By the way, I don't rock them. That's not my fashion style. I'm not that cool. I'm not as cool as everybody on this call. But I'm aware of what the currency is. Like I understood what it meant. Before there was eBay in 1994, I was buying Happy Days board games and Ronald McDonald plush toys. I didn't even know that they were worth anything. There was no eBay. I just knew nostalgia and pop culture and memories were the fucking game. VeeFriends is not a random thought because I saw an opportunity. VeeFriends is a culmination of 40 years of thinking.
I love that line of, just because I'm not talking about it doesn't mean I'm not paying attention. And I think I can really resonate with that as well.
Especially for me, Sean, especially for me right now, I apologize for interrupting, I just want to get as much out for everybody. Especially for me right now, because the second I say shit, people are speculating. I've got to be more quiet than ever now.
Yep. It's incredible, man. I want to see that vintage collection. I think that might be the inspiration for us to do a little.
Oh, the vintage collection's long gone. I flipped that shit. I find a Bruce yeah, like that was how AJ made money back then, right? Because I wasn't rocking it, and because for me it was through the years, then I lived in Manhattan. My parents they do like to hoard stuff, which means they don't want me to hoard stuff at their house. So there's all these different dynamics that led to a lot of stuff being sold. There was a flood, I don't even want to talk about it, lost 10, me and AJ nailed the video game thing crazy. We were buying Mike Tyson punch outs for 25 cents at garage sales in 2002, like it was our fucking job. Unfortunately, we're not going back to the telephone the way we all grew up if we're over 50 here. We're you're not gonna go to the wall and spin the thing and call. We're just letters, letters not gonna gain market share in the next decade, right? Even our precious Google that has been foundational to the way the world has worked over the last 20 years, is being challenged now with ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, even that. So how many people here do pretty solidly in search engine optimization, SEO or SEM? Raise your hands for leads. Even the people that are outflanking here, that are actually growing through that, even that tried and true, guaranteed execution now has, for the first time, a clear technology change that could change everything. Because if this thing keeps getting as good as it looks like it's gonna get, you're just not gonna go to Google at all. You're gonna go to ChatGPT or something like that. Or Microsoft just made a $10 billion investment in it, and we might be going to Bing, because Bing might be run on Chat. This is how the world works. And again, what's so cool about getting the gray hairs, under 35, how many people are here under 35? Raise your hands. Let's clap it up for the youngsters. I like that. So many advantages for being in that game, right? Because what I'm saying here is much more natural. You grew up with that, you're I get that. That just seems normal. The thing that you don't have with under 35 is the gray hairs of experience. We've been through the patterns. Has anybody here ever wondered why so many service businesses are called ABC? ABC laundries, ABC carpet cleaners, ABC. That's right. Watch this, kids. Under 35, get ready to have your head blown off your body. The reason there's trillions of ABC businesses is because when the world did not have Google and it had something called the yellow pages, when you would go to see somebody to clean your carpet, they did it in alphabetical order. And so if your company was called ABC Carpet Cleaners, you were basically the first result on Google and you got the business. That little tiny story is all I care about to talk to you right now. There are people in this room that will do one fun fact, one video of here's a fun fact of the opportunities in mortgages, just that. Here's a fun fact of one opportunity in mortgages, post that on Instagram Reels and TikTok, and with no followers. You do not have an account yet, and it's your 7th video, and one video like that may go viral and lead to more leads for you in a 24-hour window than you would get the entire year. That happens every day. Yet, we continue to choose not to look. What's happening in this room is people are choosing not to look. You've just made a decision that you can't get business from TikTok. You just made that decision. You didn't post 50 times on it. You didn't optimize your profile. You don't have your website linked to the URL of your TikTok and then a video did solid and you got leads. You just decided. There's way too much deciding on subjective opinion in this room, and it's not about this room, it's the whole world. The reason I can say it is I see the data across the whole world. This is what's happening. This is why there's a supply and demand opportunity. Life is very simple. It's supply and demand. It's actually shockingly simple. If you understand supply and demand in every aspect about everything about life, you will start to understand how to make decisions. Very simply, the thing that I want to compel this room to is to understand the single biggest opportunity of under supply, not enough posts against demand, too much consumption, is leading to remarkable opportunity. I'll tell you the place that I really think a lot of you should be very comfortable. I can wrap my head around, like, Jesus, I'm gonna make videos on TikTok. That's nice, Gary, but I just can't get there. The place where I think all of you can get to and should on a daily basis is LinkedIn. LinkedIn should be a very cozy place for this room. There's nothing intimidating about it for this room, right? The only thing about it is you should probably update your photo. Most of you, the photo from 13 years ago with a suit and tie is just not a good look. Let's get that photo updated to actually look like you and maybe a little less stuffy, but LinkedIn should be a place you should dominate. LinkedIn today is acting the way Facebook did about 12 years ago. LinkedIn is, if you haven't looked, but I have a few, actually, how many people here by show of hands consume information on LinkedIn? They go to their LinkedIn and they read stuff. Raise it high. I want everybody to look, raise it higher, please. I see a lot of half hands. Please just do this for me. I want everybody to look around, keep it up. These people go to LinkedIn and read articles and information. There's an enormous opportunity on LinkedIn, right? And now the thing that I'm most excited to tell you, you don't even have to make videos. You don't even have to make videos. I know that a lot of people don't want to do it. They feel awkward at it. They're self-conscious about how they look. They don't think they have the gift of gab. There's 3 different ways to sell. There's video, and it works the best. If you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, or if you're naturally, like anybody here who's got a sense of humor and feels they have a level of charisma and isn't making videos on the internet is just leaving pure money on the table. That's just facts. But for the people that feel a little bit more self-conscious or aren't feeling as strong, the written word on LinkedIn crushes. The written word. And again, here's the key. This is how you're gonna sell. You need to make it something bigger than about you. The post isn't like, I've been doing this for 16 years, you should hit me up. That doesn't work. The post should be like, did you know? Here's what's going on. Here's some information you can use. The more you treat it as if you work for Bloomberg and you're on TV, or you work for the Wall Street Journal and you write about the mortgage industry, the more you treat it as you're the news source. And by the way, because we all know there's a level of localization to this, like if you're the local newspaper, more than the Wall Street Journal, where you're making it into context of a new bank's in town and here's what it means against a rate, or things that are actually true to the citizens. The combo of LinkedIn and Facebook for so many people in this room is a remarkable brand building exercise, referral exercise. You will be flabbergasted. Where it gets super interesting for everyone in this room, in my opinion, is what happens next when you go through a path of doing this for a couple of months. When you go through this for a couple of months, you start to run out of ideas. Some of you will run out of ideas after the first post. It happens. You overthink it, you're not sure exactly. I mean it, I get it. But it's all based on ideas. After a while, especially if you start following other people. People ask me, where do I start? I always say, go to Instagram and TikTok, put hashtag mortgages, lending, all that, and just follow 50 accounts. The content flowing to you will start to spark contextually what works, right? You can do that on all the platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, on and on. Where I get really excited for this room is if God forbid somebody calls my bluff on this and does it for 3 months, then it starts opening up a whole different game where you start getting a hair more comfortable and you realize, wait a minute, so I've made 100 videos on mortgages or just this, that, the other thing. What if I just make a video about fishing? Stick with me here. Or golf, or cooking, or motherhood while holding a job and holding both hats, or anything. The New York Jets getting Aaron Rodgers, for example, anything. You make a video around something that matters to you or that you also know. This is where it gets super interesting. One of you makes 71 posts on all these platforms like we talked about over 2 months. You don't get much. By month 2, you're questioning why you listened to me in the first place because this has been a complete waste of time. You're pissed. And then you decide to remember this part of the talk, and you know that you're going to your bowling night with your buddies, and you make one video about bowling. You post it. And that bowling video gets more views because it's something people actually want to watch. Very few people want to hear about mortgages from you unless they're in market, right? We would all agree that this is not the coolest industry that ever existed, right? It's needed, but it's not sexy, right? Whereas bowling, for a very small group of people, is very sexy. Not for 99%, but for 1%, right? But here's where it gets super interesting. That bowling video that somebody actually wants to watch because you said this is how I spin it. That's the video that the person 9 miles from your home sees, looks in your profile, sees this is what you're doing for a living, is actually in market, and you get the email. That, to me, is the greatest opportunity in 2023 for business people in sectors like this, and it's one that so few people do and understand, and the ones that do are picking up market share in the same way that the few hands that went up about Google search, I promise you, in this room, and Google search is much more expensive today than it was 15 years ago, but if you talk to the OGs in this industry that built some big firms, or the national players that are your toll booths, or people like Zillow that built their entire business on Google search, it worked out for people because they're the toll booth to referrals. The toll booth to referrals or to attention or to information more than anything is brand. Nike did not get me because I typed in I want to buy sneakers on Google, enter, and then the ad showed up. Nike got me because they've been branding for 30 years and I want to be associated. If you were able to micro brand around this subject matter in your world, that is your business. Your word of mouth referral, reputation, that's called brand. That's called brand. But that's only as big as the 50, 60, 90, 12, 39 people that you've done business with and the 4 people that they've told. That's 200 people, 50 times 4. When you do what I'm talking about for the last 30, 40 minutes, you start having the ability to have much more. You start having the ability to become so popular that you're now referring out leads in areas that you don't do business to other people, and your referral business is bigger than your core business. And that's a fun business by comparison.